Our next topic in haloalkanes and haloarenes is the mechanism. Haloalkanes, they show nucleophilic substitution mechanism. Which is abbreviated as SN reaction because they are showing the nucleophilic substitution reactions. So mechanism is known as nucleophilic substitution mechanism. Now this is further of two types, SN2 and SN1. So nucleophilic substitution reactions, that is we are taking the SN2 reactions first of all. Here 2 means this shows second order kinetics. These reactions, they show second order kinetics, while SN means nucleophilic substitution. Now what is the meaning of second order kinetics? This means kinetics means rate. So second order means the rate, the speed of the reaction depends on the concentration of the two reactants. Second means it depends on concentration of two reactants. Like this is nucleophile and this we are taking as haloalkane. This nucleophile is attacking this haloalkane. And when this will attack, nucleophile will start linking with the haloalkane and this bond will start breaking. So this bond will start breaking. Both the things are taking place simultaneously. The attack of nucleophile from one side and the halide will leave from the other side. This state is a transition state. This is not stable. This state is called transition state. Because in this there are 5 bonds and carbon forms maximum 4 bonds. So this state is highly unstable and quickly break up to form a complete bond with nucleophile and complete breaking of this halide bond. This is how this reaction takes place. There is a transition state here when the nucleophile will attack the haloalkane. And this product formed here in SN2 reaction is called inversion of configuration product. Configuration means the structure in the space. Inversion means inverted. It's just opposite to that of the reactant. In reactant, the halide was on right hand side, while in product nucleophile comes on left hand side. So this structure is just the opposite of the reactant. Its configuration is just opposite to the reactant. So the product formed here is called inversion of configuration. So in SN2 reactions, first thing is this has second order kinetics. The rate of reaction depends on the concentration of both these reactants, that is nucleophile and haloalkane. And second thing here is the product formed has inversion of configuration. And this transition state I told you is unstable because in this carbon has 5 bonds, which is not possible. Now the reactivity order in SN2 reaction, the reactivity order. In these reactions, reactivity order is primary haloalkanes. Reactivity is more than that of the secondary haloalkanes and secondary will have more than that of the tertiary haloalkanes. The reason is due to steric hindrance. The answer is based on steric hindrance. As in the same step, the nucleophile is attacking and the halide is leaving. So nucleophile needs space here to attack this carbon. So if this haloalkane is tertiary, the bulky groups are attached here. Nucleophile is not getting the space to enter and attack this carbon. So in case of tertiary haloalkanes, the steric hindrance is more, so its reactivity is the least. While if primary haloalkane we are taking, smaller groups are attached here, nucleophile is getting the space to attack this carbon, and hence reactivity of primary haloalkanes is more than secondary. Secondary haloalkanes is more than those of tertiary haloalkanes. So this is about the SN2 reactions. Now after SN2 reactions, we are moving on to the SN1 reactions. SN1 reactions. The mechanism of SN1 reactions. In these reactions, the reaction mechanism is in two steps. In first step, this is a slow step. And we know slow step is a rate determining step. This will determine the speed of the reaction. In first step, this bond will break. The halide will come out from haloalkane and we are getting a carbocation. No attack of nucleophile. In first step here, the halogen will come out from this haloalkane. And because of that, we will get a carbocation here. This has trigonal planar structure. This carbocation here has a trigonal planar structure. So it's a planar species formed here. Step 2. Now on this carbocation formed, the nucleophile is attacking. This nucleophile now can attack this carbocation from this side also or from this side. Because this has a planar structure, so from all sides it is getting the same space, so it can attack from both these sides. If it is attacking from this side, right side, we are getting this product, and if attack is from the left side, then we are getting the nucleophile this side. Now, two type of products are here. In first case, the nucleophile attacks on right hand side. So this product has a structure similar to that of the reactant. This is called the product formed with retention of configuration. The structure is retained like that of the reactant. While in this case, the halide here is on right hand side, while nucleophile comes on left hand side. So this product formed here is with inversion of configuration. So in SN1 mechanism, 1 here means this is showing the first order kinetics. First order kinetics means the rate depends only on the concentration of one reactant. Like this is slow step. Rate depends on the slow step, and in slow step there is only one reactant. So here the rate depends only on concentration of this reactant. That is why this is SN1 reaction. So in SN1 reaction, the reaction takes place in two steps. In first step, there is formation of carbocation by the leaving of halide ion. In second step, on carbocation, there is attack of nucleophile, which can be from either side, right side or left hand side. Both sides the attack is there. So in one case, we are getting the product with retention of configuration that is similar to that of the reactant. And in the other case, the product formed is with inversion of configuration, just opposite to that of the reactant. And in case the two products formed here, they are in equimolar amounts. In 50:50 ratio, we are getting it. 50:50 ratio. Then this product is known as racemic mixture. This is known as racemic mixture. This is the mechanism of SN1 reactions. Now, order of reactivity in case of SN1 reactions. Here, order is tertiary haloalkane reactivity more than secondary. Secondary is more than that of primary haloalkanes. The reason is stability of carbocation. Here order of reactivity depends on stability of carbocation formed. In first step, easily the carbocation is forming, easily the reaction is taking place. And this carbocation will form easily if it is more stable. And we know tertiary carbocations are more stable than secondary, secondary are more stable than primary. So tertiary carbocation is forming easily, so its reactivity will be more. And tertiary carbocation will form from tertiary haloalkane. That is why the reactivity of tertiary haloalkanes is more than secondary. Secondary haloalkanes is more than those of the primary haloalkanes. So this depends on the stability of carbocations formed. So this is a topic, mechanism of the nucleophilic substitution reactions, which are of two types, SN2 and SN1. In SN2, the reaction is taking place in one step, and this shows second order kinetics. In one step only, there is attack of nucleophile and there is leaving of halide ion. And reactivity order is primary haloalkane reactivity more than secondary. Secondary is more than those of tertiary. This is based on steric hindrance. Now, next is SN1 reaction. This shows first order kinetics and reaction takes place in two steps. First step is rate determining step, and the order of reactivity depends on stability of this carbocation forming here. Easily the carbocation forms, easy the reaction. Now, tertiary carbocations are more stable than secondary, secondary are more than the primary. That is why tertiary haloalkanes are more reactive than secondary, secondary are more reactive than primary. In case of SN1 reactions, we are getting two products, one with retention of configuration, the other one with inversion of configuration. And if the two products are in equimolar amounts, in 50:50 ratio, then that product is known as racemic mixture. Now I'm taking one question based on the nucleophilic substitution reactions. Example, in the following pairs of halogen compounds, which would undergo SN2 reactions faster, which undergoes SN2 reactions faster. First part is out of these two, which one will undergo SN2 reactions faster? SN2 reaction means which is taking place in one step, where the reactivity depends on the steric hindrance and the leaving of the halide ion. In this case, reactivity of this one is more than that of this because I is big in size. So it is a better leaving group. This is a better leaving group. So this will leave easily, and now the nucleophile can easily attack this. Second part is out of these two, in SN2 reactions, this is linking to this carbon which has only one hydrogen. That means it's linking further with the two carbon atoms. So this carbon is secondary carbon. This carbon where the halogen is linking is further linking with only one carbon. So this is primary carbon. So in case of SN2 reactions, we know reactivity order is primary haloalkanes more than secondary, secondary more than tertiary, because here steric hindrance is less. So if this is primary, steric hindrance is less, so its reactivity is more in SN2 reactions. So this is a question with the nucleophilic substitution reaction, that which out of these two pairs will undergo the SN2 reactions faster. Now our next topic in this chapter is stereochemistry in nucleophilic substitution reactions. Actually, in this we will cover up optical isomerism. Now, before going through stereochemistry, we should know some of the terms, important terms that we use in stereochemistry. First is plane polarized light. This light is used to understand stereochemistry, that is optical isomerism. What is plane polarized light? A light whose vibrations are in one plane only. They are only in one plane. That light is known as plane polarized light. And how we get this kind of plane polarized light? For that, we are taking ordinary light. This is ordinary light, and this we have to pass through Nicol prism. This is a prism, Nicol prism. And the light that we are using here, like I said, this is ordinary white light which has all the colors. When this light passes through this Nicol prism, after coming from this thing, this is just vibrating in one plane only. Its vibrations in the other planes, they will cut off. So if the light is just vibrating in one plane, that is known as plane polarized light. So first of all, we need a plane polarized light which is vibrating just in one plane. In other planes, its vibrations, they are cut off. The second term is optical activity. Now, if this plane polarized light, we pass through some solution, some organic compound solution we are taking, and we pass this light through that. After passing through this compound, if the light either rotates towards the right hand side or towards the left hand side, we'll say this compound is optically active, that this compound shows optical isomerism. So if plane polarized light, this plane polarized light passes through an organic compound, and after passing through it, the plane polarized light is rotated either towards right hand side or towards the left hand side. This rotation we can measure with polarimeter. This can be measured with polarimeter. Then we'll say this compound is optically active. Next term after optical activity is optical isomers, which are also called enantiomers. Like here I said, if the light rotates on the right hand side, then this optically active compound or isomer is called dextrorotatory. This is dextrorotatory, denoted by small d or by plus sign in a bracket. And if the light rotates on left hand side, then that optically active compound is levorotatory. That is levorotatory and is denoted by small l or negative sign in a bracket. That means optical isomers or enantiomers are of two types, dextrorotatory and levorotatory. If the plane polarized light rotates to the right hand side, that optically active isomer is dextro. And if plane polarized light rotates on the left hand side, that optically active isomer is levorotatory. Next term is chirality. For a compound to be optically active, it should have chiral carbon. How will come to know that compound is optically active, that it is showing optical isomers, is if it is having a chiral carbon. Chiral carbon means that it is asymmetric carbon. Asymmetric carbon means a carbon which has all the four groups attached to it. The atom or groups which are attached to the carbon, these are different. If all four groups attached here are different, like one is A, one is B, one is C, another one is D. But I am taking E here because already carbon is here. So C symbol already we are using. So if all atoms or group attached to this carbon, they are different, we say that this carbon is chiral carbon. This carbon is which carbon? Chiral carbon. And this compound will show optical isomerism. Normally this chiral carbon is denoted by, or it's marked as a star here. We put a star here to show that this carbon is chiral carbon. So this compound with chiral carbon will show optical isomerism. So next we have a term, racemic mixture. Already we have done this one. Racemic mixture means a mixture which will have 50:50 ratio of compound with inversion of configuration and with retention of configuration. Now we are adding up one thing more to this. We can also say if we have dextro and the levo isomers written as DL together, or plus and minus in a bracket like this. If we have the mixture of dextro and levo compounds and equimolar amounts, then that is also a racemic mixture. We can take 50:50 ratio of inversion of configuration and retention, or we can say that we have a mixture of dextro and levo, or written as DL or written as plus and minus, then also that mixture is a racemic mixture. One question now. Identify chiral and achiral molecules in the following. CH3, HOH, and here we have Br. If there is chiral carbon, then that compound is optically active. So do we have chiral carbon in these? Yes, this is chiral carbon. This is not a chiral carbon, because in this case all the four groups or atoms that we have attached to this carbon, they are different. So this is a chiral molecule. While here the two atoms attached, they are same. So this one is actually a chiral molecule. After doing optical isomerism, now we are doing the next type of the chemical reactions after nucleophilic substitution reaction. The second type of reactions shown by haloalkanes are elimination reactions, also called beta elimination. These reactions are also known as beta elimination reactions, also called dehydrohalogenation reactions. Beta elimination, dehydrohalogenation, or simply elimination reactions. These are the reactions shown by haloalkanes. So if haloalkanes are reacted with alcoholic KOH, remember it's alcoholic KOH. In KOH there are few drops of an alcohol, like ethanol is there. So if alcoholic KOH is there, then this undergoes D means removal. D, hydrohalogenation, removal of hydrogen and halogen. This alcoholic KOH will take out this halogen from here that combines with this K. From this carbon, halogen is coming out. From this adjacent carbon atom, one hydrogen comes out and that combines with this OH and forms water. So if one H comes out from here, this becomes CH2 and halogen goes out from this carbon. From both the carbon atoms, one atom is leaving. So between the two carbon atoms, there will be a double bond. CH2 double bond, CH2 will form. And this Cl combines with K to form KCl. And that H that comes out from here combines with this OH to form water. That means when we are doing elimination reactions of haloalkanes, the product formed is an alkene. So in these reactions, what forms? Alkene formation takes place. But if there's possibility of formation of more than one product, more than one alkene, then which one is a major alkene? Example, if we take this haloalkene and react it with alcoholic KOH, then this K removes this Cl. From this carbon, Cl comes out. And adjacent carbon of this carbon is this carbon also and this carbon also. So hydrogen will come out from which side? From both sides. We are getting the product. First I am removing hydrogen from this carbon. Halogen from here, hydrogen from here. So between these two carbon atoms there is a double bond. Now second time I am removing the halogen and from this adjacent carbon I am removing hydrogen. So plus CH3, one hydrogen takes out from this. So double bond will be now between these two carbon atoms. So two alkenes are formed here. So now which one is a major alkene? Both the alkenes, both the products they will form. But which one is a major alkene? That we decide by using a rule called Setsef's rule. Setsef's rule is used to decide which alkene is the major alkene. According to this rule, that alkene which is more alkylated, means the one which has more alkyl groups will be the major one, like one alkyl group and two alkyl group. This is the major alkene, major product is this. But to apply this, the easy method is, instead of looking the alkyl groups in this thing, the best thing is count the number of hydrogen atoms of the double bonded carbon atom. With this double bonded carbon atom, 2 hydrogen here, 1 here, total 3 hydrogen atoms. In this case, with these carbon atoms, 1 hydrogen, so total 2 hydrogen atoms. That alkene will be a major which has lesser number of hydrogen atoms attached to the double bonded carbon atoms. So when we are applying, this will be easy to apply, and otherwise if you are writing the Setsef rule, then we'll write that alkene will be a major alkene which is more alkylated. This is about a